Now on the CTV News at 5, teachers in the province are back at the bargaining table. Plus, using virtual reality to become a better public speaker. And the puck drops on the hurricane season tonight.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. We're glad you could join us. There is less than 3 weeks to go before a possible province-wide teacher strike. But today there is reason for optimism. The provincial government presented a new deal to the Alberta Teachers Association this morning. That comes after a week which saw the two sides drift apart. Some posturing happened, though public and advertisements and a Labour Relations Board had to examine this back and forth. We now know there are 3 outstanding bargaining issues: the timing of the implementation of the pay grid, an annual allowance for the longest-serving teachers, and COVID-19 vaccination coverage for teachers. Experts tell us it is an extremely positive sign that wages and class sizes aren't on that list, though neither side will tell us if they have agreed on those issues. The union, which represents 51,000 teachers, has said it will hit picket lines on October the 6th if a deal isn't reached. Meanwhile, the Alberta government is preparing to invoke the notwithstanding clause on 3 controversial laws impacting transgender people. That's according to a leaked internal memo from Alberta's Justice Department, which was obtained by the Canadian press. The document shows Premier Daniel Smith's UCP government is exploring ways to protect legislation, which includes restricting youth access to puberty blockers, requiring parental consent for name and pronoun changes at school, and barring transgender girls from playing in female sports. The notwithstanding clause allows provinces to pass laws even if they violate certain charter rights. LGBTQ+ advocates say using it would be devastating for youth and their families.
I think it also sets a really dangerous precedent for all Albertans to know that based on the feelings, the ideology of the government, that at any time, any of our rights are now subject to being taken away. We're just people. We just want to live our lives, and we just want youth to be able to flourish.
Alberta Justice says it will continue to vigorously protect the safety and well-being of children and use the notwithstanding clause if it deems necessary. Cabinet is expected to consider the proposal October 21st, shortly before the legislature reconvenes. The provincial government has chosen not to renew a regulation banning carding by police, saying the practice is still prohibited under other laws. Carding is when police officers can stop members of the public without reason and ask for ID. Statistics show Indigenous and Black people are carded significantly more than white people. Alberta's regulation enforcing the ban was due for renewal this summer. Alberta's Public Safety Minister says the Police Act still bans the practice, adding officers must have a lawful reason to request any personal information. One person is dead following a collision near Staveley Tuesday. RCMP responded to the crash around 3:45 on Highway 2 at the junction of Highway 527. The collision was between a 2020 Kia Stinger and a 2003 Chevrolet Malibu. RCMP say the 40-year-old male driver of the Chevrolet died at the scene. The passenger in the vehicle sustained serious injuries but is recovering. 2 people in the Kia were uninjured. The cause of the collision is still under investigation. A substantial police presence near a North Lethbridge elementary school this afternoon. Around 1:30, officers were called to investigate a suspicious device near Emmanuel Christian Elementary School on 5th Avenue North. There were no students in the school at the time. The device was determined to be non-suspicious. Police say no further information will be released. A joint project between the Lethbridge Police Service and Alberta Sheriff's Fugitive Apprehension Sheriff Support Team executed more than 60 outstanding warrants during a 2-week period. The project, which ran from September the 2nd to the 11th, saw officers locate people wanted on warrants for serious offenses ranging from assault with a weapon, sexual interference and incest, to unlawful confinement, distribution of sexually explicit material, and failing to provide the necessaries of life. As a result of the short-term investigation, 11 offenders were located and brought to justice. A 39-year-old man and 34-year-old woman, both from Edmonton, have been charged after they allegedly broke into a jewelry store at Lethbridge's Park Place Mall and stole more than $47,000 worth of gold chains. Lethbridge police say around 5:30 in the morning on August 23rd, a man was recorded on video surveillance breaking into the mall and then into Paris Jewelers. After leaving the mall, the man got into a waiting Dodge Caravan and fled the area. Police say the two had visited several jewelry stores in the mall 2 days prior to the break-in. Investigators say after ditching the caravan outside of Lethbridge, they purchased an RV from a marketplace seller and then left the city. On September 1st, the pair was arrested in Warman, Saskatchewan. Police searched the RV and found 57 diamond rings linked to other jewelry store robberies. A 45-year-old Lethbridge man is facing charges after a Medicine Hat incident that involved one man chasing another man down a street with a knife and an axe. Medicine Hat police received a weapons complaint in the Crescent Heights area around 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. Police say while officers were speaking with the complainant, the suspect carrying both weapons approached in an aggressive manner. Despite multiple commands to drop his weapons, officers say the suspect refused, and that led to police deploying a less lethal projectile round to stop the suspect from getting closer. The man was taken into custody and assessed by EMS. He faces a number of charges. His name has not been released. Police say the attack was not random. The McMahon Youth Shelter in Medicine Hat has shut down after its last night of operation yesterday. That leaves few options for at-risk youth in that city. Quinn Keenan has that story.
The McMahon Youth Shelter had 4 beds for youth in Medicine Hat who didn't have anywhere safe to go. In recent months, it's been near or at capacity on a nightly basis. But after a change in funding, McMahon could no longer safely operate it.
We have had high occupancy rates, particularly over the past year. We've seen an increase in service demand year over year, tracking back the last 3 years. So there are youth that we know don't have safe homes right now in Medicine Hat.
That leaves the city of 60,000 people without a youth shelter. Woods Homes in Lethbridge is now the only youth shelter in southern Alberta.
There are times where we have some migration between the two cities, and the Medicine Hat shelter would help the Lethbridge one and vice versa. But now with that resource removed, I believe Lethbridge is the only one south of Calgary.
Much of the funding came through federal money administered through the Medicine Hat Housing Authority and the province. McMahon learned it would no longer receive that funding stream. The province addressed the funding cut in a statement saying Children and Family Services provided $335,000 to support the continued operation of Roots Youth Shelter to ensure that we are able to support and protect children and youth who are at risk of neglect or abuse, including homelessness. McMahon still operates a youth hub in Medicine Hat and has offices across southern Alberta. Shutting the shelter is a tough loss, but the organization is still doing what it can.
But they can help with supporting job acquisition, supporting getting a place via market rent and things like that. So they are there to help support those kids who are at risk of homelessness.
Quinn Keenan, CTV News, Medicine Hat.
Danielle Savoni joins us, and if you like the sun and heat, you are going to really like tomorrow, Danielle, right?
Yeah, you're going to like the next 5 to 6 to 7 days. In fact, we have a nice long stretch of really fantastic weather. The only blip looks like, well, Sunday, but later in the day and even in those overnight hours for most communities, so it probably won't be an issue. Looking at the radar, nothing really to talk about. We do have a little wave that's tracking to the south, but a lot of the moisture is dying out of this as it tracks to the south. So mostly just some cloudy periods at times. Winds getting a little breezy, mainly sunny right now in the Lethbridge area, 25 degrees. So not quite as warm at this time yesterday. This time yesterday we were at 28, but still well above normal. Normal in Lethbridge is 19 for this time of year. And look, it's 27 in Medicine Hat. Your full forecast coming up, Jackie.
Thanks, Danielle. The Alberta government has hired WSP Canada to study whether to build a dam and reservoir on the Belly River and make possible improvements to the Waterton and St. Mary Headworks system. The study is part of the government's water management infrastructure to provide reliable water supply for irrigation, municipal and agricultural use. The province says the proposed reservoir on the Belly River near Mountain View could improve water security, provide drought and flood resiliency, and support the aquatic ecosystem. At the same time, the study will determine if there are opportunities to improve the canal between the Waterton and St. Mary reservoirs and how water flows between them can be improved. The studies are anticipated to take several years to complete. The Lethbridge and District exhibition is officially two separate, distinct entities. The Lethbridge and District Agricultural Society and Excite Lethbridge will operate out of the newly renamed Lethbridge Trade and Convention Centre. As Carson Marsouk reports, the split comes following the financial fallout of the exhibition.
The Lethbridge and District exhibition is going back to its roots.
It's about the opportunities that this presents. Yeah, going back to the roots on the agricultural side, which is so crucial to Lethbridge and southern Alberta. And then for the Excite side, trades, convention, the growth that opportunity that presents is massive.
On Thursday, the organization was split into two entities. The Ag Society will focus on agricultural events, while the Municipally Controlled Corporation will handle event planning and programming.
We see it as really developing new events, developing events that we can control, attracting events to Lethbridge that we haven't been able to do before, and really building a long-term, 5-year, 10-year strategic plan so that we can really focus on what we need for Lethbridge.
Excite Lethbridge will employ all current LDE staff, while the Ag Society will consist of a community-run board. The society will also be eligible to receive $550,000 in funding each year to operate.
We have 292 ag societies across all of Alberta supporting our communities, supporting their local economies. They really are the heartbeat of so many communities across our great province.
The split comes following City Council's decision in May to dissolve the LDE. Last year, Council approved the $4.1 million annual operating cost to be covered by Council contingencies and one-time funding, deferring any tax increase to 2027. The change is part of a third-party review shared in 2024 highlighting several major issues with the management of the organization and project. That review was requested after the LDE failed to secure additional funding in late 2023 due to the cost of construction and inflation.
I think it's a really bright future.
Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Economic Development Lethbridge has made some organizational changes. Current CEO Trevor Lewington will be leaving the organization to pursue a new opportunity effective November the 5th. Lewington has been with the EDL since 2015 and has guided the organization through a decade of growth, change, and resilience. Director of Investment Attraction Ben Young has been appointed as interim CEO, and Vice President of Entrepreneurship and Innovation Renee Barlow will transition from her current salaried role into a project-based contract with the EDL through April. Barlow is pursuing other opportunities while continuing to support the EDL. An instructor at Lethbridge Polytechnic is using virtual reality to help improve public speaking skills. As part of an instructor-led research project, 5 research students in the Polytechnic's digital communications and media and multimedia production programs have helped their classmates use VR to reduce anxiety and stress related to public speaking. DCM instructor Chris Hodson-Bright says using VR, students are able to practice in virtual spaces, whether that's in a classroom, conference, or one-on-one meeting. The software also tracks students' eye movement and provides feedback on areas of improvement.
They've expanded so much of the software, and it's been really great just to see in a speaking class, for example, they can use the interviews, they can use it for debates, they can use it for the speeches, and all 3 of those elements are just phenomenal to help them in the classroom.
The project was funded through the Scholarship of Teaching and Research Grant. The Lethbridge Public Library is getting ready to host its 15th annual Word on the Street Festival tomorrow. The event is a celebration of reading and literacy and is being hosted by the Lethbridge Public Library. Several authors will be in attendance to discuss their work. This year's festival will also feature a range on Indigenous authors and storytellers. There will also be a marketplace, food trucks, and live entertainment. Word on the Street runs from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the library's main branch. The Lethbridge Police Service has unleashed its annual campaign, All for a Fur-tastic Cause. The 2026 K9 calendars are now on sale. Proceeds from sales will benefit Ned's Wish, a Canadian nonprofit organization dedicated to giving retired police and military service dogs care throughout their golden years. The 13-month calendar showcases 3 working canines along with 3 dogs that retired last year.
The biggest reason that we're doing this is as a way to give back to our lifelong partners that we're creating. to ensure that the needs that they have are met farther and beyond just the career that they spend working in the street and assisting us. So if the community looks at it in the way of a way to give back to the people, or not the people, the animals that have given so much for the first portion of their life.
The calendars cost $20 and can be purchased at either the police station or online. Still to come, Danielle has your weekend forecast coming up right after this break. Plus, a new study shows more people are leaving emergency rooms without being seen.
Okay, Skycam facing west, stunning out there right now. We have a little tiny front that's tracking towards us, may bring a little bit of cloud cover, but it's a pretty quiet one really until Sunday. Sunday, we have a system to talk about, but it will be very short-lived. 22 is the high in Calgary today so far, and in Edmonton, 21 in Regina. So it's still warm and above normal in southern Alberta, for example, but it's not quite as warm as yesterday. We took off a couple degrees, maybe even a few in some communities. Right now, 27 in Medicine Hat, 26 in Brooks, 25 in Lethbridge, and Pincher Creek also sitting at 25. There's that little front that's moving through. Again, a lot of the moisture on our side of the Rockies, and as it moves off to the south, is dying out of this. So some cloud cover. The winds may pick up a little bit when this moves in as well. This will move in around the supper hours. And then, yeah, we're just looking at that for now. Tomorrow we have a ridge of high pressure that will be building in, so temperatures will be able to climb once again for tomorrow. It'll be a hot one, it'll be a sunny one, it will be stable thanks to this ridge of high pressure. Sunday, different weather pattern because we have this upper level trough that will dip in just enough, so temperatures won't be quite as warm, and we have the potential for a little bit of rainfall with this as well. Most of it looking like it will fall in the night hours, which I'll show you in the longer range in just a second, and then another ridge builds in for much of next week. So the first official week of fall will be pretty toasty and well above normal, and we may actually crack 30 degrees in the first official week of fall. Okay, here's a look at the futurecast. There's that little wave that will push through with some cloud cover for the evening hours. And then this is a look closer to Sunday. So Sunday morning will likely start off with a mix of sun and cloud. And then in the afternoon, we have the potential of isolated pockets of showers in Lethbridge, south of Lethbridge, closer to Pincher Creek, Crowsnest Pass as well. And then the rain will intensify Sunday night and through Monday morning. We could pick up about 1 to 3 millimeters in Lethbridge. Okay, East Kootenay area, fog patches developing tonight once again and lasting through parts of tomorrow morning. 28 degrees as a high for tomorrow. Crowsnest Pass 8 tonight. A little bit of cloud cover and gusts around 40 kilometers per hour throughout the day tomorrow, especially in the afternoon with a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 27. Medicine Hat, likely a high of 30 for tomorrow. So yeah, hot there for sure. Hotter than today. A mix of sun and cloud, but it should be mainly sunny for much of the day. In Lethbridge, we have the potential to get to that 30 mark as well for tomorrow. So a really summery weekend for us. Sunday, we have the potential for some rainfall. We may even see a couple pockets of isolated showers in the afternoon hours, but the bulk of the rain should be Sunday night, overnight and through Monday morning, 1 to 3 millimeters possible. A little cooler on Monday. Monday, the official start of fall. We'll kick it off with a high of 23 degrees.
We're getting more evidence people heading to the ER in this country might not be getting the care they need.
You think, well, you know, if I'm going to die, I might as well die at home. Why would I die in a hard chair in a waiting room, right?
When Peter Phillips went to an ER in Moncton, he was struggling with pain in his chest after undergoing quadruple bypass surgery months earlier. Phillips waited for 6 hours and then he went home. He's part of an increasing number of patients across the country who are leaving emergency rooms without being treated. A study by the Montreal Economic Institute found that out of the 16.3 million emergency room visits in Canada in the last year, nearly 8% were left untreated, and the number of people leaving emergency rooms without care is up by 35% in the last year. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, the Lethbridge Hurricanes hit the ice tonight in their season opener. Sports is next. The Lethbridge Hurricanes are set to open a new season tonight at home against the Calgary Hitmen. The Canes began the 2025-26 season with a 23-man roster, including 14 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 2 goaltenders. The Canes held a 1-4 record during the preseason action. Despite the tough preseason record, players and coaches feel they are ready for the regular season.
Feel really good. I think our mentality throughout training camp and preseason was just get a little cleaner, get a little better each day, and we did that.
Always super fun. I mean, start of the season's felt like a while now, so obviously super excited to kick things off here.
Puck drop for the Dairy Queen home opener is 7 o'clock. Following tonight's tilt, both teams will be back in action tomorrow night at the Scotiabank Saddledome. Medicine Hat Tigers will also open up a new season at home tonight. The Tigers will host the Regina Pats at Co-op Place. The Tigers enter this year after winning the Memorial Cup last season. Puck drop is 7 o'clock. Teams in the BCHL will also begin the 2025-26 season this weekend. The Brooks Bandits will open their season on the road in Spruce Grove tonight against the Saints. The Bandits will then return home tomorrow to face off against the Okotoks Oilers at the Centennial Regional Arena. And the Cranbrook Bucks will also start the year on the road. The team is in Salmon Arm tonight for a game before heading to Vernon tomorrow. The Bucks are set to host their home opener on October the 4th. Kodiaks and Pronghorns have plenty on the go this weekend. The Kodiak soccer teams are at home tonight taking on the St. Trojans. The men's game kicked off at 5 and is already underway. The women's game will follow immediately after at 7:15. Now the Pronghorns, meanwhile, are hosting their annual Horns triple header tomorrow. The day kicks off with the women's soccer playing the Regina Cougars at 2. Following that will be the men's soccer taking on the Victoria Vikes. Rounding out the day will be the rugby team hosting the UFC Dinos. The soccer teams will also be in action on Sunday as well. The women's team will host the Regina Cougars at noon. The men will take on UBC after that at 2:15. Whew. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, how far would you go to help an inebriated animal? We've got that story next. Now to a story about going the extra mile. A nurse in Kentucky who used CPR to save the life of a drunk raccoon. After the nurse and her co-workers spotted an adult raccoon in the parking lot, they discovered 2 babies trapped in a nearby distillery's dumpster. The animals were catching a buzz on fermented peaches used to make moonshine. The nurse managed to get one out, but the other was unresponsive. She was able to use chest compressions to revive the tiny animal. The party animal went sober, and the raccoon, now nicknamed Otis, was released into the wild and is said to be doing just fine, although has a bit of a hangover. Thank you for sharing this time with us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.